we have some audio here from Mike Hazen on AJ Puck. Here's what Mike Hazen had to say about acquiring the left-hander.
We have been looking to supplement the back end of our bullpen late in games. And this was a target of ours for a while. The power left-handed is something that we don't have a ton of right now. And so trying to round out what the back end of that bullpen looks like to maximize the weapons that Torrey has at his disposal. This was a fit for us. Obviously, the control, having him for multiple seasons, is something that was very valuable, intriguing for us. We feel like once he shifted back from starting to relieving, that the relief performance was what we expect and have seen out of him in the past. And we just feel like he's a good fit. Obviously, losing Nelly and Saul Frank earlier this year, it left us in a little bit of a tight spot, leaving kind of Joe to handle the entirety of the left-handed attack plan. And we can't expect to run Joe into the ground every single night. And so we felt like this was a good compliment. Feel like when our bullpen was at our best last year with Joe and Nelly, we had those two lefties out there, giving Torrey a lefty probably every night. And I know we have some guys that can attack lefties, but this was a good fit for us.
It's easy to forget how good Kyle Nelson. He's saying Nelly, so it's just my brain filling that in, but it's Kyle.
Yeah,
Nelson.
They're both Nelly. It's kind of. I feel like we need two different nicknames there. They both get referred to.
Someone
as
needs to
Nelly.
be Nell right. Or something. Like we'll figure it out. But again, yes, that's a great point. It's not like the Diamondbacks purposefully, left themselves shorthanded at left-handed pitching out of the bullpen. I mean, one guy got injured. One guy made a huge mistake gambling on baseball. So, now the Diamondbacks are left where, yes, Mantiply was left with the majority of the workload, and that sucks. This guy, though, I mean, Jesse, just yesterday or just not yet. I don't know. What day is it? Again, I'm still not caught up on my days from our trip. But we were just talking about Carlos Estevez as an option for the Diamondbacks in the bullpen from the Los Angeles Angels. And it's wild because he's a right-hander, but his numbers were so good that we were like, this guy would be an asset for this team. It would be huge if they could bring him over. Puck's numbers as a reliever are better than his, and he's a lefty. So he's just a solid weapon for this team and in more ways than one. And Mike Hazen sounds like he's not entirely done potentially, right? Like he has more, but I do know that a lot of fans are mad about, Deyvison De Los Santos. What did Mike have to say about that? The pieces they gave up.
Yeah, we're not blind to it. He has huge power. He has become a better hitter. We believe that he was going to be a very good baseball player. There's no way around when you're operating as a buyer at the deadline that you're going to just be able to give up, kids that aren't performing or nobody's heard of or aren't good players to get good players. And that's just something you have to make peace with. And it's hard, and it's not something that you run into casually. It's not that we're blind to what the upside could be in the future. It's not like we're teaming with guys that have the potential to do what he can do. We understand all that. But our commitment that we made this offseason and into this year, and the team has shown at this point that we need to push some of our chips in here to make this team a better team. And we're committed to doing that. We're going to continue to look at ways of doing that. This isn't hopefully the only thing we do. If it is, okay, because you never know what else is going to come around the corner, but we're still going to work pretty hard for the next 4 days to figure out if there's other ways to make the team better.
When the Diamondbacks didn't protect Deyvison De Los Santos from the Rule 5 draft, they knew that they were risking losing him, and they were okay with it. And they did. And the Guardians, of course, weren't able to keep him on the major league roster, and he came back. Part of that is the Diamondbacks feeling like Deyvison De Los Santos probably isn't going to make it as a major league player. Part of it also could be them being smart enough to know that any team that did take him in the Rule 5 draft wasn't going to be able to keep him on the major league roster because he simply wasn't ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And it's not to say he won't be, because I very much feel like this kid is going to be a power hitter in Major League Baseball that is going to one day make us regret parting ways with him. The easiest part about this, though, is that the Diamondbacks already lost him, and it just makes it so much easier that if that's a player people are interested in, teams are interested in, to trade him, considering that he already was lost to another team, and by the luck of that team not keeping him on the roster, he came back to the Diamondbacks. But it's house money you're playing with at that point. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, you heard Mike there talk about how, he's aware that Deyvison De Los Santos can do things kind of unlike anyone else in the organization, right? I mean, the raw power is probably, I mean, it might be more than anyone on the major league team. Like, his raw power is off the charts insane. And if you narrow in just on the Dbacks farm system, I don't think there's anyone particularly close to Deyvison De Los Santos in terms of raw power. I guess Ivan Melendez would maybe come up there. But his hit tool has been pretty shaky at this point in the minors. De Los Santos, there are questions there as well, but he's certainly made it a lot further. But yeah, I'm just reminded of the Diamondbacks' emphasis on defense and how much they value that as an organization, and how, in a sense, like, you feel bad for De Los Santos. Like, the D-backs left him off the 40 man. They allowed him to be snatched up in the Rule 5 draft. They got him back. He had a lot of success, represented them at the Futures game, just a little over a week ago. And now, they ship him off in a trade. But from an organizational philosophy standpoint, it kind of makes sense. Like, the Diamondbacks really value defense. And there were some indications that maybe, De Los Santos wasn't putting in, quite the work that the Diamondbacks were hoping that he would on that side of the ball. And he was playing third base. They moved him over to first base. I think there were still some questions about how he would fare there in the long term. So in terms of what the Diamondbacks value, it kind of makes sense why it ended this way.
Our guy Mike Dreckman is here, Jesse. Allegedly,
there we go.
Might be a fake Mike Dreckman, but Mike says, I think we have the pieces we need. The defining series for this season is going to be the Phillies series at home in August. Absolutely. And the Diamondbacks are poking the bear there by having the, NLCS or the NL ring night, right? Like, that's,
yes, they are.
That's something that's definitely a little spiteful, and I like it, but and Mike also, he's like Mike does own the Phillies. Like, the
Phillies are gonna, I mean, Kyle Schwarber is gonna see Mike in the stands, and he's just gonna, he's not gonna be able to hit the broadside. And Mike's
just gonna hold his jersey up at him like this and be like, what? All right, well, we still don't know what the Diamondbacks are gonna do here. Mike Hazen is being a bit cryptic, and not only is he being cryptic, but he makes it sound very much like the Diamondbacks are still going to add a bat and maybe another bullpen arm here, Jesse. Let's first hear what Mike had to say. Here's what Mike had to say about potentially adding some more pieces.
I think that's definitely something on our radar. From a priority standpoint, I still think, pitching probably outweighs position players for us. Like, I look around the diamond on our team, and I'm not saying that, everybody can't upgrade where they need to upgrade, but we have a pretty strong position player group that's pretty diversified in its talents and its handedness, et cetera. I don't know that we're overly exposed in either direction from righty lefty. I think we have some versatility defensively. I think some of the guys that we've had have played very well for us. Gino's been smoking hot in July, and I think, Kevin Newman's been great. Obviously, Perdomo does what Perdomo does for us every single day. I think from an outfield standpoint, like, Jake's having his best season. Alex, obviously, probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive center fielder in baseball. Like, there's just a lot of talent out there in a lot of different ways that I really, really like. Not saying, again, that that we aren't looking to upgrade certain things or there's skill sets that we need to get better at. We will look at all that stuff, but I still think pitching, being adding talent to pitching, and B, depth for the rest of the season. This is our last bite at the apple. Though that's probably the larger priority, but we're working all those things at the same time. Getting a deal done and in the books helps us to continue to focus even further on the specific needs we have.